Realms unraveled. Peter Jackson removed the scene that made Tolkien cry. Huh. I wonder what. I'd probably have to read the books.
Tolkien
Let's
confessed
see.
that a scene from his books had moved him to tears even as he committed it to paper.
Huh.
And though this scene provoked such emotion in Tolkien, it was omitted from Peter Jackson's adaptation of The Lord of the Rings, not even making it into the extended cut.
Goddamn.
The scene in question captures a poignant moment shared between Frodo, Sam, and Gollum as they climb the perilous steps of the pass of Cirith Ungol, drawing ever closer to the lair of Shelob. Samwise Gamgee is known for his unwavering loyalty and steadfast love for Frodo.
Yes.
Therefore, he is a cherished favourite of many fans. But Tolkien, ever attuned to the complexities of his characters,
Did he almost
saw
kill
more within
Sam?
than simple, untarnished virtue. In letter 246, Tolkien provides us with an insight into Sam's character, laying bare the darker aspects of his personality. Sam was cocksure and deep down a little conceited, but his conceit had been transformed by his devotion to Frodo. He did not think of himself as heroic or even brave, or in any way admirable, except in his service and loyalty to his master. That had an ingredient, probably inevitable, of pride and possessiveness. It is difficult
Oh, I see.
of those who perform such service. In any case, it prevented him from fully understanding the master that he loved, and from following him in his gradual education to the nobility of service to the unlovable, and of perception of damaged good in the corrupt.
Oh, okay. What was this gonna be? Is this like a scene of like Sam like just being really jealous of Gollum and whatnot, and it like being really in a really emotional scene? That's what I'm thinking might be. I mean, I think it's still. If it's in the books, I could fucking. I'll probably read. I'll get it to it when I read it. But yeah.
Tolkien succinctly reveals much within this short passage, and though his words are few, they brim with meaning. Tolkien begins by describing Sam as cocksure and a little conceited, meaning he is naturally confident and perhaps even a bit self-important. However, his sense of self-worth is tied not to personal ambition, but to his role as Frodo's servant and protector. And therein lies the delicate flaw in Sam's relationship with Frodo.
I mean, I can see how I can see how that's viable because if Frodo is the mythical chosen one who's supposed to take the One Ring to Mordor, to the Mount Doom, and throw it into the volcano and whatnot to destroy the ring. So yeah, if you're the protector of the literal chosen one, yeah, I can see how you sort of see yourself as more of an important person, and how your ego can really get up there because you're quite literally tasked with protecting the person who's gonna save the world. So and you can sort of eventually start seeing that as, oh, without me this person would die, so realistically I'm the one who's actually carrying the weight here and ensuring that the world is saved because I'm ensuring that the chosen one is safe. And if something happens to the chosen one, the world is fucked. So therefore, I'm more important than him because I have to protect him, type shit.
Sam's love carries an element of possessiveness and pride. To devote oneself entirely to another is often to claim, in some way, a right to their well-being. Yet, the most profound part of the passage is Tolkien's observation that Sam's fierce loyalty is ironically detrimental to their relationship, as it prevents him from fully understanding Frodo. As their journey progresses, Frodo changes. He begins to see the world through weary, sorrowful eyes. Through pain, he gains wisdom.
Yeah.
He learns to feel compassion for even corrupt beings such as Gollum, and recognizes the inherent tragedy in those who have been tainted by the darkness. This is what Tolkien means by Frodo's gradual education to the nobility of service to the unlovable.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because Frodo does become more compassionate, and he starts actually feeling sympathy for Gollum as the movies go on. Because if we remember the movie, if you've seen the movies only and you haven't read the books, I'll do this from the point of view of the movies. In the movie, you in the first Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, you see Frodo is talking to Gandalf in the Mines of Moria, and they're talking about Gollum, and he's like, "Oh, it's such a pity that Bilbo didn't just kill him outright." And yeah, he's like, "Oh, it's such a pity that Bilbo didn't just kill him when he had the chance." And fucking, I think Gandalf says pity or courage. He says some shit like that. And it's like, who are we to decide? It's like, who are we to decide whose life to take and whose life to spare? You know, it's like we're just as flawed as Gollum is, type shit. And as the movie progresses, Frodo does become more compassionate towards Gollum. Not obviously in the Fellowship of the Ring, but in the Twin Towers, or the Two Towers rather, and in Return of the King. Like, you see it at first, Frodo is like, oh, he's just gonna be our guide and whatnot, and he's just gonna take us to fucking Mount Doom. He's gonna take us to Moria, not Moria. He's gonna take us to fuck, shit. I forgot what it's called. Mordor. He's gonna take us to Mordor, and we'll get to Mount Doom and whatnot. And he mostly is a little distant, but he sort of sees how Sam just treats him like shit, and he becomes more compassionate towards Gollum, and you see that through the progression of the movie. But Sam doesn't become compassionate towards Gollum at all, even when Gollum discards the Gollum personality and becomes Smeagol and actually genuinely wants to help them achieve their goal, because Frodo is the only other person that's treated him like an actual being and not some disgusting, filthy creature. While Sam still treats him like a filthy, disgusting creature even after Gollum has that flippant personality where he becomes Smeagol again and he actually genuinely wants to help. And you just see that throughout the entire movie. Like, Sam never trusts Gollum, always treats him like shit, always just demeans him, even when Gollum actually becomes a good guy. But of course, we all know what happens. They get captured by fucking what's his name? Uh, Edamore, Edamore, Edamore. Shit, I forgot his name. Erebor. They get captured by Erebor's brother, and he tricks Gollum. They treat Gollum like shit, and Gollum goes back to being Gollum, or Smeagol goes back to being Gollum and whatnot. The evil personality comes back and shit, and it's just fucking wild. But yeah, I can see where this is all. You can actually see what they're saying in the movie about how Frodo becomes more compassionate while Sam doesn't.
To show kindness to the wretched, to
Yeah.
see the lingering ember of humanity in the most corrupt. This is the truest form of mercy.
Yeah.
Thus, Frodo's heart opens to Gollum in painful recognition. But Sam, unyielding in his simpler view of morality, has not reached this level of understanding and is unable to comprehend why Frodo shows Gollum kindness. Consequently, he mocked Gollum, calling him cruel names like Stinker and Slinker. A part of Tolkien's brilliance lies in these quiet revelations. Even in Sam, one of the most steadfast and beloved characters, we find flaws. His loyalty is true, yet imperfect. His love is unwavering, yet possessive. Sam plainly did not fully understand Frodo's motives or his distress in the incident of the Forbidden Pool. If he had understood better what was going on between Frodo and Gollum, things might have turned out differently in the end.
Yeah.
The scene at the Forbidden Pool.
Oh, this scene. Yeah. This is the scene that I was talking about, where they capture him and shit, and they treat him like fucking ass.
In the books. Gollum, ever elusive and wary, is coaxed away from the water by Frodo. He is then seized, and though Frodo's intent was to spare his life, Gollum initially believes that Frodo tricked him. In the films, this moment becomes a wound that cannot heal.
Yep.
Gollum's bitterness festers. Even as Sam insists that Frodo never wished him harm, Gollum's heart hardens. Whatever frail affection he held for Frodo is cast aside. From then on, the
goes back
path
to
he
being
chooses
Gollum.
is clear. He leads Frodo and Sam onward with a single, dreadful purpose: to deliver them to Shelob. There is no longer any flicker of uncertainty in his mind. But in the book, the threads of affection that bind Gollum to Frodo are not so easily severed.
Oh,
The
really?
sting of Frodo's trickery leaves its mark. Gollum ultimately understands that Frodo saved his life. Gollum,
Oh,
for all his flaws,
huh.
is not a creature without reason. He understands that Frodo did not wish for him to suffer.
Oh shit, was the breaking point Sam in the books? Yo, oh shit, that actually changes a lot. Like I said, I haven't actually read the books. I started The Hobbit, but I suck ass when it comes to reading, so I'm gonna buy the audiobooks and whatnot, and I'm gonna fucking listen to them. But I didn't know that it played differently I mean, obviously the movies and the books are severely different. Like there's only very few things that are actually still similar between the movies and the books. But I always thought that that was the snapping point. I didn't realize that. Huh. Damn, that's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Faramir himself informed Gollum that the only reason he had spared his life was due to Frodo's prayers.
Ah, it was wait, what, Boromir? Boromir, right?
Faramir himself informed Gollum that without reason, he understands that Frodo did not wish for him to suffer. And Faramir himself
Oh, Faramir. Oh, his brother was Boromir. What the fuck did I say earlier? I said some other shit earlier. Faramir. Yeah, oh, Faramir's the one who tells him instead of Sam. Oh, okay. Interesting.
informed Gollum that the only reason he had spared his life was due to Frodo's prayers. And after the trio took their leave of Faramir, Gollum confirms that he held no lingering resentment towards Frodo.
Have they gone at last?
Said Gollum.
Nasty, wicked man. Smeagol's neck still hurts him. Yes, it does. Let's go.
Yes, let us go, said Frodo. But if you can only speak ill of those who showed you mercy, keep silent,
Nice master.
said Gollum.
Smeagol was only joking. Always forgives, he does. Yes. Even nice master's little tricks. Oh yes, nice master. Nice Smeagol.
Huh. Interesting.
In the books, Gollum wavers, uncertain and torn, even as he leads Frodo ever closer to the lair of Shelob. And even
Well, I mean, yeah,
the
because
Morgul Vale
he
rose
hasn't
before
snapped
him, and
yet.
the darkness of his purpose closed in. What remained of his moral resolve fought against the ring's influence, which compelled Gollum to lead Frodo to his death. By temporizing, not fixing, the still not wholly corrupt Smeagol will towards good in the debate in the Slaghole, he weakened himself for the final chance when dawning love of Frodo was too easily withered by the jealousy of Sam before Shelob's lair.
Oh shit! There it is.
The term temporizing
It was
refers to
Sam in the
Gollum's
books.
tendency to delay decisive action or commitment. This indecision is corrosive, allowing his darker instincts to gain the upper hand. The phrase, not fixing the still not wholly corrupt Smeagol will, confirms that there was still a goodness within him,
Yeah.
represented by the Smeagol side of his persona. However, by
Damn, if they had, if Frodo and Sam, if Sam wasn't such a fucking dipshit, we love Sam, but if he wasn't such a fucking ass towards Smeagol, Smeagol might have actually become a good character, and he might not have died, and he would have actually led them on the actual proper path to Mount Doom. And given the fact that Smeagol is inherently immortal no matter what happens to him because of his prolonged exposure to the One Ring, he could have essentially been like a really good caretaker of whatchamacallit, Hobbiton. Shit, like god damn, dude, just the fucking branching path that could have happened if Sam was just slightly nicer to Gollum, to Smeagol, when he had finally become a good guy. But, you know, like they said at the start, the jealousy that Sam had over the fact that Frodo was being nicer to Smeagol and chastising Sam every time he was mean to Smeagol, It's yeah, it's pride is the downfall of man type
To
shit.
be decisive and solidifying
I
the
mean,
split
envy is a
Gollum
sin.
weakens his own moral resolve. The debate in the slag hole that Tolkien speaks of is the scene at the end of The Passage of the Marshes, where Sam
Oh,
hears Gollum locked in debate with himself.
We once it, but
And here there was a long pause, as if a new thought had wakened.
not yet, eh? Perhaps not. She might help. She might, yes. No, no, not that way.
Wailed Smeagol.
Yes, we want it. We want it.
Each time that the second thought spoke, Gollum's long hand crept out slowly, pawing towards Frodo, and then was drawn back with a jerk as Smeagol spoke again. Finally, both arms, with long fingers flexed and twitching, clawed towards his neck. As we can see, Gollum's better nature protests the idea of leading Frodo to his death.
yeah.
Gollum never
He's
finishes this
torn
train of
between the
thought
ring
as
and
Sam
the.
interrupts him. So, as he does not come to a decision, he temporizes, as Tolkien puts it, meaning he puts off the decision for later. It is important to understand why this decision was so hard for him to make. Gollum had been cast out, shunned
Yeah.
and abandoned. Love, companionship and understanding had long eluded him, until Frodo. In Frodo, Smeagol had found a kindred spirit. Perhaps
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, realistically, Frodo and Bilbo are the only ones who will ever truly be able to understand Smeagol. More so, Frodo, in my opinion, than Bilbo, because Bilbo wasn't as corrupted toward with the One Ring because he didn't constantly keep it on his person. He kept it in a pocket, which wasn't doing actual like skin to skin contact. Unlike Smeagol, who always held it in his hand, or he put it in his loincloth, which is just even more skin to skin contact because the loincloths don't have pockets. It's just a piece of fabric covering your privates and shit. So, and then you have Frodo, who constantly had the ring around his neck. But his corruption, he didn't become fully corrupted, but he could see the taint of corruption happening faster because of his journey to from Hobbiton to the Prancing Pony, his encounter with the ring wraiths and being stabbed by the Mogul blade. And then like getting to Rivendell and having the elves do magic to try to not remove the corruption, but essentially just remove as much of the poison that they could and like try to contain what they couldn't remove with magic, which always still festered within Frodo. Like, which is why at the end he has to leave with the elves because he's corrupted by the taint of Mordor and fucking what's his face? Sauron. Like he'll always be corrupted because of that wound no matter what. So yeah, so he could most sympathize with what's his name? With Gollum because that's where Frodo would have ended up. Like you see at the end, he struggles and he doesn't want to throw the ring in, and he puts it on to try to escape with the ring. So so literally Gollum was literally a look into Frodo's own future, which is why he could sympathize with Gollum so much.
the only one in all of Middle-earth who could truly fathom his torment.
Yeah,
And due to Frodo's kindness, Smeagol felt understood for the first time since
yeah.
the
It's
ring
because
came
Frodo's one of the few people who could
Frodo
understand
and the
him.
ring were the two things in the world that Gollum loved, and he could not have both. Even as they ascended the treacherous pass of Cirith Ungol, passing the fortress of the Nazgul, perched upon the knees of the mountain, he had still not come to a decision about what he would do. Before they reach Shelob's lair, the hobbits are weary and decide to take some much-needed rest before continuing on to the ominous tunnel. It is then that Gollum slipped away into the darkness, leaving the hobbits alone for a while. And as Frodo slept with his head cradled in Sam's lap, Sam too succumbed to exhaustion. And so Gollum found them hours later, when he returned crawling and creeping down the path out of the gloom ahead. Sam sat propped against the stone, his head dropping sideways and his breathing heavy. In his lap lay Frodo's head, drowned deep in sleep. Upon his white forehead lay one of Sam's brown hands, and the other lay softly upon his master's breast. Peace was in both their faces. Gollum looked at them. A strange expression passed over his lean, hungry face. The gleam faded from his eyes, and they went dim and grey, old and tired. A spasm of pain seemed to twist him, and he turned away, peering back up towards the pass, shaking his head, as if engaged in some interior debate. Then he came back, and slowly putting out a trembling hand, very cautiously he touched Frodo's knee, but almost the touch was a caress. For a fleeting moment, could one of the sleepers have seen him, they would have thought that they beheld an old weary hobbit, shrunken by the years that had carried him far beyond his time, beyond friends and kin, and the fields and streams of youth. An old, starved, pitiable thing. In that still and quiet moment, the sincerity of Gollum's affection for Frodo is made apparent to the reader. There is no cunning now, no twisted ploy. Both hobbits lie asleep, unaware of his presence. There is no one to deceive, no eyes to witness. Therefore, we can discern with all certainty that the emotion that stirred within him
It's pure
in that
and
moment
true.
is genuine.
He
And as
genuinely
his gaze
cares
drifts
more
back
about
up
Frodo
the
than the
winding
ring.
path, the weight of his betrayal lays heavily upon his conscience.
Yeah.
And there in the gloom of Morgul Vale, the hobbit he once was, returned.
Smeagol.
For a fleeting heartbeat, the path before him shifts. He teeters on the edge of redemption, nearly
So
deciding
what
to
was the
relinquish the
breaking
ring
point?
and to remain true to Frodo. But then, like the bitter winds that swept down from the dark peaks of the Efel Duath that loomed above them, Sam's harsh words shattered his moment of
Shit, there it
introspection.
is.
But at that touch, Frodo stirred and cried out softly in his sleep, and immediately Sam was wide awake. The first thing he saw was Gollum, pawing at Master as he thought. "Hey, you!" he said roughly. "What are you up to?"
Nothing,
said Gollum softly.
nice master.
"I dare say," said Sam. "Where have you been to?
Shit.
Sneaking off and sneaking back, you old villain." Gollum withdrew himself, and a green glint flickered under his heavy lids. Almost spider-like he looked now, crouched back on his bent limbs with his protruding eyes. The fleeting
There it is. He called him a villain.
beyond recall. Sam's harsh words caused the delicate thread
Yep.
that held Gollum back from the abyss to snap in that very moment.
I mean, you can see why. He was actually starting to see Sam as a friend as well. Someone who's actually nice to him because Sam hadn't said some stupid shit like that to him. But the moment, like, Sam immediately turned on him, he's like, Frodo's the only, like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. God damn, dude. Fucking Tolkien just knows how to write a book.
And it is this tragedy that brought Tolkien to tears as he wrote it. He wept
He had
for the
to-
lonely old hobbit that might have been saved if not for Sam's
Yeah, I mean, I can
inability
see
to take
why.
pity upon him. I was probably most moved by Sam's disquisition on the seamless web of story, and by the scene when Frodo goes to sleep on his breast, and the tragedy of Gollum, who at that moment came within a hair of repentance, but for one rough word from Sam. This means that if it were not for Sam's actions in that pivotal moment, the hobbits could have avoided that dark tunnel that awaited, thick with webs and crawling with ancient hunger. Tolkien confirms in letter 246 that before this point, Shelob's lair was not a certainty. For me, perhaps the most tragic moment in the tale is when Sam fails to note the complete change in Gollum's tone and aspect.
Nothing,
Said Gollum softly.
nice master.
His repentance is blighted, and all Frodo's pity is wasted. Shelob's lair became inevitable.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We should not blame Sam for his actions, for due to the situation and circumstances, few would have acted any differently towards Gollum. He was not to know the consequences of his actions, and those actions were, after all, based upon good motivations in their essence.
The issue is he's right. You can't really blame Sam for the current circumstances of what the fuck is going on. But at the same time, Sam could have easily seen that Gollum was literally changing right before his eyes, but his own pride and his love for fucking Frodo blinded him to everything else everything else happening around them. Gollum's character development and actual growth literally went in one ear and out the other toward when it came to Sam, because Sam's only fucking care was for Frodo. He didn't care about anything else. He didn't care about anyone else. He only cared about Frodo and getting Frodo to the destination. And that is the downfall of the Sam character. That's the flaw that sort of led them down this path.
He desired to protect his friend from Gollum.
Yeah.
Yes, this protection may have been tainted with jealousy and pride, but the essence of Sam's actions were good.
Yeah.
This is due, of course, to the logic of the story. Sam could hardly have acted differently. He did reach the point of pity at last, but for the good of Gollum, too late.
Yeah, it was too late.
Of course, in none of these quotes does Tolkien mention that he wept over this scene. That is because his admission was not put down in writing, but rather made at a quite exceptional event. In March of 1958, Tolkien was the guest of honour at a Hobbit meal in Rotterdam, Holland.
Oh, that's so
He
fucking
never
cool.
before accepted such an invitation and never did again. In a wonderful exchange, which was recorded between Tolkien and Professor Lambers, Tolkien makes his admission. "Is there really no deeper meaning in The Lord of the Rings?" asked Lambers. "It's just a story, it's just a story," reacted Tolkien passionately. "Yes, but a story with a message," continued Lambers, and he argued the moral background of The Lord of the Rings.
Oh
As an
my
example,
God,
he
dude.
took that impressive scene on the border of Mordor, when Gollum bends over the sleeping Frodo, torn between
Shit.
Gollum's love for the ring and Smeagol's word of honour to Frodo not to take it. The crucial element in this scene, according to Lambers, is distrust, which causes good to act as evil. Gollum is mollified by the vulnerability of the sleeping hobbit, and is at the point of redemption. But Sam, misguided by the love for his master, intervenes and thus prevents the rebirth of Smeagol. Sam's goodness makes the goodness of Gollum impossible.
Yeah.
And Tolkien answered, "I wept when I wrote that."
Damn, dude.
Here, Lambert makes a stirring defense of Tolkien's work, as Tolkien modestly states that The Lord of the Rings is just a story. Of course, The Lord of the Rings is technically just a story.
Yeah.
Yet, that is no bad thing. Storytelling remains our oldest and truest compass. Stories are the echo of the voices of the past. They bind us across time and distance to those who came before us, and remind us of who we are. And stories can teach us lessons we didn't know we needed to learn, heal wounds we didn't know we carried, and awaken dreams we forgot we ever had. And stories, of course, can move us to tears. Thus I will leave you now with the immortal words of Gandalf.
Oh shit.
"I will not say, do not weep, for not all tears are an evil."
God damn. Fuck, man, dude. That just puts a whole new fucking
Realms unravel.
perspective in my
I would
mind
like
of
to
the
take this
fucking
opportunity to light the beacons and call for aid. If you did enjoy this video, I would be very grateful if you would click the like button below and consider subscribing to the channel. And until next time, farewell, fellow explorers of Middle-earth.
goddamn. Oh, that was a really good one. Holy shit, dude. Damn, to think that Gollum could have literally taken a whole different fucking point if Sam was just a little bit nicer to him. Holy shit. It really puts into perspective. One thing that I do hate, though, is when people try to find, like, a hidden meaning in a story, especially after the author outright says, yo, it's just a story for the sake of being a story. There's no political agenda. There's no hidden meaning. It doesn't reflect modern day or anything like that. It's just a story to entertain and be a story. And when people try to, like, draw comparisons between, like, the book and, like, real life and try to, like, force a deeper meaning into the book, it just really just shows how crazy some people can fucking be. Like, there's people in today's day that literally compare the orcs to black people, and I'm like, that's so fucking racist. Like, what? You're comparing a group of people to savage monsters created to be evil by evil people. Like, you're comparing that to black people. That's like beyond fucking wild to me, dude. And or when they try to do some other fucking hating meaning about like the society in today's day and age, it's like, bro, just shut the fuck up. It's just a story. But yeah, it was a good story. It was a good video. I liked it. I learned a lot of shit that I didn't know. Like, god damn, dude. Damn, that just really makes you feel sorry for Gollum.